Folks, it's the Felder Friday edition of College Sports Now. Michael Felder in the house, In the Bleachers on Twitter. Tripp Hurd, the doc of locks, locked and loaded. He's in the cave. He's surrounded by screens. He's been crunching numbers since Tuesday. We got a lot to get to, boys. It is week 2. There are games on deck tonight. They're pretty meh, but we're going to talk about them. And we're going to run through what I think is a really under-the-radar, sneaky good slate of games. And I'm not just talking about like Texas and Michigan, which, look, we will discuss. It's 2 top 10 teams hooking up in the big house. Does anybody actually think that Michigan's a top 10 team in college football this year? No. But they have a number 9 next to their name. So we'll talk Texas. We'll talk Michigan. I actually think the night slate this weekend, is really intriguing. So we'll talk about that. We got the Felder Five. We're going to head to Charlotte, talk to Kyle Bailey from WFNZ. Obviously, the Mayo game is in Charlotte this weekend with NC State and Tennessee. So I want to talk to Kyle about that. Also got to ask him about what happened to our Hokies. He was on the Virginia Tech bandwagon, as was I. That obviously did not go well week 1 when they caught an L in Nashville. We also got picks to get through. Tripp and I both of us, ran the table last week. We went 3-0. That means, and Felder, I know you're not a gambling guy, but that means if you took Tripp's picks and you took your boys' picks.
That's a 6-team parlay.
You went 6-0 last week. Now, I don't know how many people out there.
In those picks by now. I mean, they've got to be parlaying those.
I don't know what the odds are on a 6-team parlay. I think it's something in the range of like 30-1. Tripp, you can double check my math on this. Nonetheless, we're hot. We're going to keep making picks today. That's coming up later in the show. Let's get a roll call. Felder, how you feeling, buddy? It's Friday morning. Week 2 is upon us. No Thursday night games that we're like hung over from last night, unless you stayed up for that NFL stuff.
I did watch the NFL game. I am very, Andy Reid is I do think he's a genius. I also don't know what anyone's going to do with the Ravens run game. Everybody's going to be problems. It's all crazy. So, yes, but the big thing for me is I'm ready, man. I need it. I think that having that Thursday off, and I know a lot of folks complain that college football gave way to the NFL on that Thursday. I needed it because we had Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Yeah.
Just give me that. Thursday did wonders for my body in terms of just getting right to get back into it. Friday, this is a light Friday, and we can talk about, what do you want to talk about, BYU and SMU, or you want to talk about Duke and Northwestern? But
I'm a little intrigued by Duke Northwestern. Yeah, I'm not going to lie to you. I am intrigued by that a little bit.
I would be more intrigued. What did he say? Was it Bobby Bowden? Who's the guy that said, I'd never seen 100,000 people show up for a chemistry test?
That sounds like a Bobby Bowdenism. Yeah.
But so I would be more intrigued to watch right now with where they are as programs. I'd rather watch them do academic stuff, mathletes.
Wow.
I don't think either one of them are good. Do you?
I understand that, but wins are precious for both of those programs, and somebody's going to get to 2-0. It's the only thing on the board Friday night at 9 o'clock Eastern on FS1. I want to see the new stadium. Yeah, I just want to check out the vibes.
New stadium. I do want to see the new stadium. That is an iPad game.
Okay, that's fine. Tripp Hurd, speaking of Duke athletics, how are you feeling, buddy? I see you got a little blue on underneath your hoodie if you're watching on YouTube.
Oh, has he already moved on?
Have you already moved on?
No, I haven't moved on.
All right, I can barely hear you, buddy.
That was the gentlest no I've ever heard.
Let me fix your mic here, bro. I can barely hear you. Are you having a hard time hearing him, Felder?
Yeah, that's why I said it's the most gentle no I've ever heard.
What about now?
It's a little better.
If you moved the mic closer to your mouth.
Is that better?
Here's the thing, folks. I haven't seen Tripp in the office since Tuesday. Okay, I don't know what this guy's been doing all week. I think he's just been grinding over some of these picks, honestly.
You weren't here Wednesday night. That's my research night. I'm not giving up on Florida State.
Okay.
Very, very realistic chance to still make the playoff, in my opinion. But tonight, I am excited for Duke Northwestern. I think that's going to be a good game. And is that the stadium you guys were talking about?
It's not even a stadium. It's a field alongside Lake Michigan. It holds 15,000 people. Yeah.
Little windy up there. A little windy up there. Duke was trying to throw the ball last week. I think that might slow things down a notch. A lot of unders in that field.
Duke did not look good against the fighting Phoenix of Elon last week, and now they got to go on the road and play a Big Ten team. Look, I'm not staying up for it, Felder. I think you nailed it. iPad game.
It's an iPad game.
Just side piece game, right?
Yes,
doesn't need the 85 inches. Okay,
you're not going to Ruth's Chris with me.
Who?
We'll get Popeyes.
But maybe we can go to Carolina Ale House together.
We'll
okay,
get Cookout.
Maybe we can hang out at the mall food court.
There we go.
I love it.
And we're going across town so nobody else sees me with you.
So here's speaking of being ashamed.
Yes.
I want to get this out of the way early.
Yes.
Because last week on the show, we broke down games. That's what we do. All right. I had some pretty harsh, some pretty bold takes about what I thought was going to happen last week between the Florida Gators and the Miami Hurricanes. There is some sound here, Tripp. Do you want to set this up? Because I think you and Felder have been working on this together. Is this like a group project? What are we about to hear?
It's not a group. Felder just said, hey, you might want to grab something after that Miami-Florida game. So I just threw a quick little clip together to, show off your take.
Well, let's roll it because Tripp got put in a body bag on Tuesday by Roddy because of his Florida State takes. So now I'm about to put myself in a body bag because of my takes last week. Let's roll the sound. Let me ask you a question. Do you think Cam Ward is the better quarterback between the two on Saturday in the Swamp? Because I don't.
Ward drifting back again, floats it complete and into the end zone goes Cam McCormick.
You like Mertz?
Yes.
Mertz on first down. Ball was batted down. That was a deflected pass right in his face.
Tom Petty under this?
You like Mertz?
Yes.
Here's Mertz on the split shadows of the field in mid-afternoon, and he's taken down.
You like Mertz?
Yes.
Better than Cam Ward?
Yes.
Ward. Quick strike and into the end zone goes Xavier Restrepo. How about that drive by the Canes?
Bro,
See what Mertz did last year?
You're on fucking drugs, dude.
Dumb.
27 touchdowns.
Stupid.
3 picks.
Crazy.
This guy's an accurate passer.
Dangerous.
You can say he's a game manager.
Stinks.
You're basing this off of last year.
I am.
Mertz steps up, being pressured and being driven down and sacked.
Graham Mertz is in year 2 at that system, okay? Cam Ward is in year 1. This guy is a turnover machine.
They're down in 11. Ward able to spin free of Searcy. And then goes to the end zone. And in the back of the end zone, it is Jacoby George. My, oh my, Cam Ward's having himself a day.
Cam Ward has played in a lot of games. He's never played in a game at the Swamp. I'm just telling you. That place is going to be upside down.
Casually slings it downfield and gets it complete inside the 20. He is almost too like Jesse. It's unbelievable.
I'm going Mertz.
Almost.
Let me ask you a question.
Relaxed.
Do you think Cam Ward is the better quarterback?
This is
between
playing
the
on a
two
loop.
on Saturday in the Swamp.
There we go.
Hartzell.
Yes, because I do.
Honestly, if you were trying to roast somebody for a bad take, you couldn't have said better things. It was the easiest thing I've ever done, honestly.
Yeah, it's a producer's dream, really. So yeah, look, I not only was I wrong, but Graham Mertz got himself injured tackling a Miami player after throwing a pick. He's out for this week.
Yeah.
They don't call me the KOD around here for nothing.
Yeah.
Okay, so
is it Lagway?
DJ Lagway, you're welcome, buddy.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Miami looked great. Cam Ward looked great. Graham Mertz looked like a guy who just, I don't know. I mean, clearly got the kiss of death from
He looked like the guy that he was.
Well, I mean, he had a bad game, clearly. I'm not going to continue to defend the guy, but Florida is
I'm saying he looked like, we talked about it with DJ Uiagalelei, right?
Mm-hmm.
He is who he is. He looked like I think last year was an anomaly.
Might have been. Sure.
And I think the other years were who he is.
Florida as a team, though, Felder. And again, this is a week 2 look ahead type of show, but just because we're here,
yeah,
Florida looked shook on all aspects. Offense wasn't clicking. Defense was struggling. Special teams, procedural stuff.
Yes.
it's going to be a long season in Gainesville if that doesn't turn around. And the sad part is, if it's a sad part, whatever. I mean, obviously,
It's
people's
sad 'cause you're a
perspectives
Florida
on the
fan.
Florida program is whatever, but they got to deal with another in-state program in UCF in a couple weeks. Like, you lose that game,
Mhm.
I mean, Billy Napier may not be around for the cocktail party at the beginning of November. So, yeah, tough L. Tripp, nice job on the audio. Pretty sure we don't have the rights to the Tom Petty music that you used or the ESPN clips for that matter. But thank you to Joe Tess and Tom Petty, RIP.
I sent an email.
Miss you, bro, for the audio there. So please, if you're listening to the show, thank you. Disney, do not sue us. Tom Petty Estate, do not sue us. All right, it was just
We've
in
got
fun.
money. We're
Thank
college
you.
sports now.
Gainesville's favorite son, Tom Petty. All right, so week 2, we're staring it right down the barrel.
Yep.
Felder, do you want to jump into some Felder 5 stuff? Because I've got games that I want to talk about outside the top 25.
We got to run through the Felder Five fast because we got to get to all this other stuff. All right?
I'll tee it up for you, Felder. Anywhere you want to go. You want to go 5-1, 1-5. The world is your oyster.
Let's start at 2 because I put it in wrong. I had Oklahoma State beating Temple, but that was Oklahoma. The Pokes beat South Dakota State, but the Hogs put up 70. Can you think the Hogs can run? Because I'm still trying to figure out. That's my dog. What do you think about the Hogs and Sam Pittman, Taylon Green running with Oklahoma State?
Well, I've already submitted my That's My Dog selection, and you will hear from Arkansas a little bit later in this show.
Yeah, okay. So I didn't even scroll down that far, so you already
That's okay. That's okay. I was accused last week of, Tripp accused me of something with respect to the picks, so I wanted to make sure I was transparent as possible. And by the way, big guy, you're going to be going first on the 3-for-all after you threw a temper tantrum last week. So
whatever game. What if I just take your picks that are already wrote down?
That's fine. I've got others in the hopper. But here's what I was going to say about Arkansas. This is a game at high noon. I love the early game. I think Taylon Green. Look, it was Pine Bluff. Okay,
that's fine.
But I still was very impressed
with
what I saw. So I think it's going to be a fun game. This is a game that Sam Pittman and those guys. Man, they'd love to have it. I'm not saying they have to have it, but that guy is on the hot seat in the SEC. You go on the road, you beat a ranked team in their building. That's a statement.
Yeah, I think this is I do think that they have an opportunity here. I didn't like Oklahoma State looked good. They didn't look great. Like they didn't look like. I think this is a football game, and I'm very excited to watch it. And obviously it's early, so I'm very excited to watch this one.
Also, shout out to Jaquindon Jackson, the Utah transfer. He was cooking too at running back. So look, man, I think it's good. Alan Bowman, who is what he is,
sure,
had a good game last week against the Jackrabbits out of the FCS, and then Taylon Green, who looked dynamic and was dynamic at Boise State. So I think this is a great game right out of the chute at noon. It's not going to get the eyeballs that Texas Michigan will for obvious reasons, but I'm still in the let's learn something phase of the season, so I'm excited to learn about both those teams.
I literally wrote that in the show that I got to do another show after this, and the thing that I wrote was, which games can we learn something from? Because that's what I want to do. I want to learn something about these teams. What did we learn? Cam Ward is better than Graham Mertz. What did we learn? Notre Dame is better than Texas A&M. What did we learn? Which we'll get to later. But I'm going to go with since we talked Taylon Green, let's go ahead and talk about Boise State, right? Oregon. This is twofold. This is a game where I think Ashton Jeanty. Is there a college football player that had a better week than Jeanty?
Don't think so.
Come on, you don't even have to think about it, man.
The guy, no. The receiver for Arizona who had like 11 catches for 3 bills.
Okay.
McMillan.
How many touchdowns?
I think he had 3 touchdowns.
Not 6.
Not 6. No, Jeanty had 300 yards on the ground and 6 tutties. Yeah, no, it was incredible.
So he's getting the ball behind the line of scrimmage, and people are trying to kill him, and he still found a way to get 300 yards and 6 TDs.
And they also needed all of those yards and all of those touchdowns
to win
the game, which was
He can go too, but no one had a better week. And I do think watching that game, because I watched it again on Tuesday morning.
Talking about Boise, Georgia Southern?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing for me was once they realized he's our guy. He's the guy. Nothing else matters.
And
The wide
nothing else
receivers-
matters. Is that Metallica?
Is that? I don't know.
Yeah, I think it is. Look it up.
It is.
So but the wide receivers, tight ends, the quarterback, the offensive line, they were like, all we have to do is get body on body, and then he'll figure out the rest and go. And I think that's a very critical thing. Oregon did not look great this past week.
No.
They were fine, but they did not look great. So, obviously, I know Dan Lanning's going to try to light a fire under their behinds and get them going. But I think this is one of those moments, like a moment in time where a team understands who they are. I still don't think Oregon knows who they are. But I think Boise State knows who they are. And they're like, listen, this guy's it's like Michigan State when they had Le'Veon Bell.
Sure. Feed him.
We're gonna have to get this guy 25, 30 carries a game. Like, that's just the reality. And everyone else has to be dedicated to this cause. And I want to see what this looks like.
I think it's a great take. And going back to what you said before you jumped into that game, like, it's okay as we get ready for the second weekend of college football to be like, I don't know. I don't know about Oregon. I don't know about Arkansas. I don't know about Oklahoma State. Like, I know we live in a microwave take society
Sure,
where
hot
it's
take
like,
world.
let's go. Let's put it in and
Graham
crank it
Mertz.
out. Yes, like I did with Graham Mertz week 1. But yeah, like, how much of that are you chalking up to week 1 stuff with Oregon? Because Dylan Gabriel got his. I mean, the guy was like 41 of 49, 400 yards.
Sure.
But Oregon struggled to put away the Vandals of Idaho out of
Exactly.
FCS. So now you got Boise coming to town. That's a big line, Tripp. Chunky line.
It is 20, 20 and a half, 21, something like that.
Big
All that
number.
clam chowder.
But yeah, out of all the final scores that had to raise your eyebrows, Oregon had to be at the top of the list, along with Texas Tech. But I think we're going to talk about those guys.
I mean,
later.
South Carolina.
We can talk about South Carolina. By the way, get your Peacock subscription dusted off for Saturday night if you want to watch Boise and Oregon. That is
I'm ready
not
to
on
rock and roll.
NBC. That is exclusively on Peacock,
Got it.
and that kicks at 10 o'clock Eastern. Dude, I'm telling you, we'll save this for later. The late night slate. I'm not talking about the 7, 7:30, 8 o'clock. I'm talking about 10 o'clock and beyond slate Saturday. Is the best I've seen in a while. It is tasty. So we'll save that. But Boise and Oregon
Bro,
is
my
one of
wife
those games.
My wife watches Law and Order nonstop. You think we don't have Peacock?
Law and Order is the same show every single time. It's a formula.
You're not. Listen, you're preaching to the choir, brother.
Hey, brother.
Hey, brother. Okay.
Poor guy just watching Law and Order SVU reruns over and over.
I can't do it. Let's go App State. Do they have a chance against Clemson?
Given where this game is in the schedule and given what Clemson just went through, I say no. What do you think?
You think that? Hang on, because you think that Clemson's going to come back with a vengeance.
I think Clemson gets right, as opposed to
The same
if
way
they,
that Florida State came back with a vengeance against BC.
That's lazy. I'm not willing to say. I think Clemson.
I'm-
Look,
How is
we
that
talked
lazy?
about this.
How's that lazy?
Clemson and Georgia was 6-0 in the third quarter. It's not like Clemson was lifeless. Okay.
It wasn't 6-0 in the third quarter.
Yes, it was. It was 6-0 at halftime. Georgia flipped a switch like 40 minutes into that game
Hang
and
on a
started
second.
going at him with a pair of pliers and a blowtorch.
Hang on, I got it.
It was
thought it was-
Yeah, I think it was 6-0 for like
Six-
a minute.
okay, yeah. 6-0 and a half. And then what I was thinking about. Okay, got it. What I was
Like,
thinking
look,
about.
I like App State. Like the concept of App State. Pesky group of 5 team.
Okay, I was
Not
thinking about
afraid of
13
anybody.
13-3.
They'll play people at your plate. Like, they're not afraid. Like, they beat South Carolina at South Carolina a couple years ago. They go to Chapel Hill and give Carolina a game. People in the state are afraid to play App State. You know this,
Absolutely.
brother. I don't need
Yeah.
to tell you.
They don't want to play.
However, I think you're catching Clemson on a bad day. That's me. Now, that's, again, Tripp.
What are they going to do?
It's another chunky line. That's another chunky number.
It's really, I think it is similar to last week with Florida State, who was in a get right. But is Clemson's quarterback any better than Florida State's? I mean, really, why are we still worried about this guy, Cade Klubnik? He's not shown me anything.
Felder, you tell me, because I'm not willing to judge Cade Klubnik off of what Georgia does to everybody, which is make you look terrible.
That's true.
Sure.
He did have a really tough opening opponent. However, what did he do last year?
Here's what I'm saying.
It's fair.
I think this might be one of the most pivotal games on Clemson's schedule.
Sure.
If you muck around and mess this one up, finito, done.
Well, here's the thing I like about these games, Felder. If Clemson looks like shit Saturday night, you know what you're going to hear at Death Valley in, like, the first quarter? You're going to hear people booing. And look, I listen to games on the radio a lot. Like, I'm an audio guy.
Sure.
When I hear fans disgruntled, like, I'll take you back to last Thursday night, North Carolina, Minnesota. One possession game, nip and tuck the whole way. Minnesota is playing for field goals the whole game based on what PJ Fleck was doing. And the folks in the stands are like, man, this is not what I'm here for. This is the New Year, same shit. So if you're Clemson and you're struggling on offense after hearing all summer about how, you know, Garrett Riley and Cade Klubnik, year 2, they're going to take steps, and they're not taking steps against App State at home at night in Death Valley, you're going to get disgruntled Clemson fans. And that is part of something bigger that I think Clemson, to your point, Felder, like, you need to start showing signs of improvement.
Right.
And it needs to clearly, it didn't show up in the box score or on the field week 1 against Georgia. It better show up at home at night under the lights.
Right, against App State, a Sun Belt team. And
a proud Sun Belt team, but still.
I'm not putting down the Sun Belt at all.
I just don't want people to get up in your mentions. That's all, man.
What I'm saying is, it's not to me. It's not just Cade, right? They could put in, what is it, the Vizena kid? They could put him in. Go for it. That's not the solution. That's not going to change the fact that they can't block up front. The fact that they can't move bodies. I understand those bodies they were trying to move are big because they're at Georgia, but you can't move bodies. It's not going to change. And I thought Briningstool was like hit, miss. He had some really amazing catches at the tight end spot. And then also, this guy cannot block. He can't block. And then, like, Antonio Williams had so many almost. And I don't know if it's a Cade thing or if it's a him thing, but they had so many almost. And listen, almost doesn't count. Outside of horseshoes and hand grenades, baby. Like that shout out to my dad, but like it doesn't count. And so you make a spectacular catch, and then you get towards the red zone, and then nothing works. And so it's just really tough to figure out what's going to happen next with this team. They need, again, we talked about this going into the season, how we are used to this team having, or we got used to this team. Now we're not used to, but we got used to this team having. What did we get? We went through the list. We went through Sammy Watkins, and we went through Mike Williams and Martavis Bryant and T. Higgins, and we went through this list of guys. Nuke Hopkins. We went through this list of guys. Humphrey. We went through Renfro. We went through this list of guys, and no one is showing up in that way for them. And maybe that's because the quarterback's not showing up in that way for them. But it's one hand that washes the other. And I do think that this is going to be it's going to be rough. I don't think this is an easy football game for them to win. I don't think they just show up, get off the bus the way Clemson does and look bigger and stronger than everyone. And then all of a sudden get it done. And also flip it over. Defensively, there's no depth there. There's no depth for Clemson defensively. And what we saw, and I talked about it, what was that, on Tuesday with Wayne? They are a team that if you can lean on them, and I'm not saying App State can do that, but if you can lean on them, they don't have the depth to cycle through the way that a team like Georgia does, a team like Alabama does, a team like Ohio State does. And the beauty for them is they usually play flawless football, which they did for 40 minutes. They have to go 60 minutes of flawless football defensively just to give their offense a chance. It's like, you know what it reminds me of? The Ravens, when they won their Super Bowl with what, Trent Dilfer?
Trent Dilfer, yeah.
They had to play flawless football on the defensive side. And that's what this team is to me. And that's going to be hard. But here's the thing. They play App State, and then they get to do it in the ACC. They've got an opportunity to find themselves offensively.
App State does not get blown out in football games. They just don't. Like
Right.
when they lose, they give you everything, and you beat them by like 3 or 4. So Joey Aguilar's probably the best quarterback in the Sun Belt, not named, what's my guy, McLeod at Texas State, who transferred from JMU.
Yeah.
So App State will not be afraid of this game at all.
No, they won it.
I'm not hitting the panic button on Clemson based on what I saw against Georgia, even though they got smoked. You don't show up against App State at home, yeah, we got problems.
Yeah, I put Clemson in the playoffs still.
Somebody's got to go from the ACC. I mean, everybody's buying Miami, but yeah, let's see. Let's see what Clemson looks.
Like, I know we're not doing predictions, but I had to do a prediction show, and I literally was like, this is a team that can go. They can go 11 and 2. That still gets them into the playoff.
You would think
losing to Miami and Charlotte.
Yeah.
So yeah, you want to do one more before we get to our guest?
Let's squeeze in one more from the Felder Five before Kyle Bailey from WFNZ in Charlotte hops in.
All right, let's go ahead and squeeze this one in real quick. We got the Cy-Hawk game.
Ugh. I mean, yes, that is a true statement. We do have the game.
Under.
You don't have to watch it.
You're going
if you don't
under?
want to.
I'm excited.
Tell them about the trend here, though, Tripp. I mean, this is an under game. What is it, 16 and 2 or something like that?
This is the only thing better than a Service Academy game for unders. Iowa State. Of course, Iowa is the only team that got me last week because I had the under in that game, and they exploded for 5 touchdowns in the second half, which they, I don't think, did in the entire second half of their season last year.
Yeah, did you see some of those passes that Cade McNamara was throwing, though, Felder? I mean, they were prayers. I mean, he's throwing them up like you're in the backyard with your buddies.
Yeah.
And Iowa players were coming down with them. But, look, I didn't watch Iowa State play North Dakota last week. I know that they are a chic dark horse pick to make some noise in the Big 12. Our man Shahan Jayaraja from CBS Sports shouted him out. Matt Campbell's flying under the radar. And that's generally when they are at their most dangerous, when there's not expectations there.
Sure.
So we'll see, man. Rocco Becht.
The trend is also Iowa just owns that series. I think they've won 8 out of 10.
It's just this is a game. I'm one, and because of Joe Raja, I'm like interested in Iowa State. So I want to see what they look like on the main stage. And the other part is, I think Iowa, low key, dark horse, sneaky into problem mode to get to the playoff.
Wow.
I think, and I was talking, I was talking to Steve Cofield, who's out in Vegas. I was talking to somebody else too. And here's the thing. If Iowa can find a way to not play in the Big Ten championship game, but then finish with like 1 loss, they're going to be like, yes, we're in.
Sure.
And that's why I'm watching them. That's what I'm interested in, because I think there's a little gamesmanship, right? In terms of, I don't care if you're like Penn State wants to win the Big Ten. They feel like
Ohio
that's
State,
Ohio State wants to win the Big Ten. Oregon wants to win the Big Ten. Michigan wants the Big Ten. They want to win the Big Ten.
Yeah.
I was like, hey, man, what if we don't win?
Right.
And we don't have to get a second loss, and then we just get to go to the playoff.
Yeah, I get my choice on 3:30, just like everybody else.
Sure.
I don't have to watch the Cy-Hawk game. if I
will
don't
be
want
watching
to.
it.
Like, there are other things I can do with 3 hours. If I want to watch that type of football, it's available. But there's also other places you can go as well. Speaking of other places you can go, let's bring in our guest. Kyle Bailey from WFNZ does afternoon radio in Charlotte, kind enough to join us on a Friday. Kyle, thank you for taking the time first and foremost. Big weekend in downtown Charlotte, man. We got the mayonnaise game. We got NC State taking on Tennessee. Paint the picture, man. You do afternoon radio every day in that city. What's the hype been like for this ACC-SEC clash under the lights Saturday night?
Yeah, appreciate y'all having me. Get a chance to talk with Mike every week. Good to see y'all again. Yeah, man, it's. I think people are excited. We were just talking about this yesterday. State fans were expressing a whole lot of anxiety on the text line on my show. Like they were, they're angsty. They're excited though. They're most of them still optimistic. But I think the way that Nico played, albeit against Chattanooga, I think has them a little bit concerned, obviously. And but outside of that, I got Danny Morrison coming on my show later today. He's the executive director of the Charlotte Sports Foundation, former team president of the Carolina Panthers. And I've gotten to talk a lot with Danny over the years about this game, the kickoff, the bowl stuff, how they do things, the tickets they sell, who they sell the most to, and where the most hype is. And a team like Tennessee, these regional teams, especially like Tennessee, West Virginia, Virginia Tech, that are outside of Charlotte but are within a 3-hour drive of Charlotte, they can't wait to come here for this game. So the place is crawling with Tennessee fans already. State fans, many of them are already here. There's not been a lot of trash talk this week on our airwaves, but there has been a lot of interest in the game. So we're pretty fired up about it.
What do you expect is going to happen, Kyle? Because I Tennessee's the favorite. I think it's 7.5, something like that. NC State kind of underwhelmed against Western Carolina. They trailed going into the fourth quarter last week in their season opener. What if they win? Like the SEC, we've seen them in these non-conference games the first week of the season. I mean, they underperformed as a conference, right? So what does it say if NC State's able to shock the Vols and get it done?
I don't know what it says specifically, but I know it stabilizes all the cannon fire directed at the ACC after the first week of the season. I mean, I think it quiets some of that maybe because it would be a big win for the conference. I know that coming out of the Western game, my faith in NC State was a little bit shaken. I picked Clemson and NC State as my two teams to make the college football playoff this year out of the ACC. I was not a Florida State believer, but State didn't give me a whole lot of reason to believe either. So, I think it would be a huge statement for NC State's program. Obviously, a massive win for Dave Doran, who's on stable ground there, and I think can still achieve some things. But that would be, I think, the next big step. Go on a neutral site, albeit in your home state, beat Tennessee, because I think Nico's a special player. I don't know how y'all feel about him, but I think if they go out there and beat that Tennessee team, that does send a statement to the rest of college football.
I think Nico's a special player as well. I also think Grayson McCall is a special player. Obviously, Concepcion is a special player.
Oh, yeah.
State needs more than that, and I think they need more from the run game and also from. Do you think they can pick it up from a defensive side of the ball and from that offensive line so that they're able to run the ball?
Yeah, well, the running the ball is the big thing, right? I thought obviously they didn't get great push against Western for basically the first 3 quarters. Waters was much better in the second half. I thought he made some mistakes in the first half individually, some hesitancy, and not just sticking his foot and getting uphill or downhill rather. A lot of instances, but I do think they can run the ball. I actually said this yesterday on my show. I think the biggest thing for NC State is go out and establish the run. Allow yourself to, obviously settle in. But if you can go out there and establish the line of scrimmage and feel like you're getting some push up front, you're winning up there, that could mean a lot of confidence and momentum for that team.
Kyle, what happened to our Hokies last week, man? Because Felder told me you were high on Virginia Tech. I was high on Virginia Tech. Then they go out and lose at Vanderbilt week 1.
Well, I wasn't high on Virginia Tech. I was nervously excited about Virginia Tech. That's what I was. Now, I acknowledged to Mike that they should be good. They returned a lot of production. And I think they're going to be good. Like losing to Vanderbilt is awful. Like I had to take 30 minutes to myself with the dog behind the house on Saturday. I was so sick after that game. But I still think they're going to be okay. The problem is, as you said, our Hokies, that even a successful season can't come in Blacksburg without paying some penance, like a national embarrassment, in this case, to start the season. So I still think they're okay. I actually don't think Vanderbilt's the worst team in the SEC. I think Pavia and Tim Beck, I think they're going to win a couple of games out in Nashville this year. So either way, that's not an excuse for Virginia Tech to lose the game. The fact that the defense wilted in those on that final drive and in overtime, I don't know. On the other side, Clark Lee took back defensive play calling. Now, I'm not a Chris Marv fan, but like you see a couple of more weeks of that. If you're Brent Pry, you may have to at least start thinking about it. because that was the big surprise there. And then, of course, Kyron Drones not really being able to participate in the overtime period. I don't know if they win it with him in there, but you have to wonder if they would have still pulled that game out with Drones playing in overtime.
We were all high on Drones, but you said something that was interesting to me. You said, I don't think Vanderbilt's the worst team in the SEC. I know we're focused on ACC here, and we're going to get back to it. But who do you think is the worst team, and is it Florida?
Well, I was going to say Florida a millisecond after you said it. But yeah, let's go with Florida on that. We got South Carolina though. They're on the running right now after some of the offense I saw last week. So I don't like to say that about Shane and the Gamecocks, and I think they can get better. But I mean, Graham Mertz is Graham Mertz. I don't know what Billy Napier is going to do.
And there it is. Yeah, well, he doesn't have to play Mertz anymore. Apparently, they're just going to ride with the 5-star freshman. But yes,
that's fine. That's the
dark.
decision. I mean, but why not go that direction in the first place? No disrespect, but I didn't get it. Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Let's go. So let's go to my guys. Let's go to UNC. They felt underwhelming as well. How are folks feeling about UNC, and what were your thoughts about UNC's performance?
I thought it was a gutty win. I thought it was a gritty win, and I thought it was one of the more impressive things we saw from the ACC in a lot of ways. That game looked kind of exactly like we thought it would look on both sides, I thought. And, Max Johnson, that stuff is just crushing. You hate to see that happen to that kid. And hopefully he can get back. If he wants to play another season, maybe he can. But for the here and now, I think, you're going to run the football a lot with both Hampton and Harrell now. That was a big part of the plan anyway. Jeff Collins has to keep tuning up the defense, and they should go out and get a win this weekend against Charlotte, start the season 2-0. And boy, there are far worse places to be as a college football program than 2-0. They're not. I don't think anybody takes them seriously as ACC contenders or anything like that right now. But they just beat a Big Ten team on the road, and they do have talent. So let's see where the journey goes.
Right before you came on, we're talking with Kyle Bailey from WFNZ. Felder was asking me, we were just talking about App State at Clemson, right? Like, you do talk radio in Charlotte. App State, for folks outside the state, may not realize there are a ton of App State football fans in the state of North Carolina.
Also a ton of Clemson fans in Charlotte.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. But what do you expect Saturday night when App State makes the trip down to Clemson at night in Death Valley for the home opener for the Tigers?
I think Clemson wins. But I think their start matters a lot. Like, if App State comes out and lands a haymaker in the first quarter, it might get dicey.
Yeah.
But Clemson's the better football team. They have better talent. I do think they win the game at home. I don't think all is collapsing. I understand the whole – I heard Josh Pate earlier this week, and he's not wrong, say that, the worst thing he heard all week was somebody say, well, Georgia does that to everybody. And, well, that's who Clemson used to be, the team that does that to everybody. So it's not that big a deal. But at the same time, I think Georgia does that to a lot of teams. Like, I think Georgia does that to all but about 2 or 3 teams in the country. And so it's a long season. Clemson may get better. They may not get that much better, but I still think they're a good team. And they may still be the best team in the ACC. So I'm going to go with Clemson, but I really am interested to see how that game starts, because if App State gets momentum, we've seen it before.
So I'm going to go. Listen, you said Clemson may still be the best team in the ACC. I think they probably have the best defense in the ACC for sure. They're limited depth though. But Miami has been pushed to the front of the ACC with Florida State's issues, with Clemson getting absolutely boat raced. Where do we feel? How do you feel, or what's the vibe with Miami? Because Cam Ward, to me, that guy went out and put up.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't know you were done there. Yeah, he was. He was spectacular. I was actually just rewatching some of the game this morning, and somebody was pointing out that he literally called out the play to the Florida defense at the goal line, and it was the play where I think it was it Fletcher that went over the top. But it was he's got a lot of swagger, man. There's a little bit of, and I hate to use Cam Newton because I deal with that all the time here in Charlotte, but that aspect, there's a little bit of that there. There's definitely an excess of swagger with Cam Ward. You're right, by the way. I say Clemson may yet still be the best team in the ACC, but if you had to call it today, we're all saying it's the Miami Hurricanes because of that performance. So I don't know how good they can be. I've been critical of Mario Cristobal as an X's and O's coach. Well, everybody has, right? So I try to be honest
X's
about
and
it.
O's. What about the clock?
Also that, game management, you name it. So I still want to know when they get into a dogfight, is he going to be able to outcoach somebody? That's what I think we still have to find that out. But from an abundance of talent standpoint, not many people have more than Miami does. And they like Restrepo is a monster. I love the Martinez pickup. Like they're a scary football team. That's for sure. And honestly, going back to my Hokies, that's a game that, assuming everybody stays healthy, I kind of can't wait for, because I think if everybody stays healthy, that game's going to be a lot of fun.
You got a dark horse in the conference, Kyle? Like, I feel like Georgia Tech, Syracuse could be an interesting game on Saturday. Some folks like SMU, some folks like Cal. Yeah. I mean, do you have one outside of obviously the power brands in the ACC?
Boston College, and I say that because I wondered, again, not some huge revelation that I had. I think a lot of people probably at least wondered this too. With Bill O'Brien's wealth of knowledge. How much was there? How much could he quickly bring in? And what could he do with it? And I think you saw again in that game against Florida State what a good tactical coach he is, especially at the college level. Like going back to the wheel route, it's just simple, but the greatest coaches do the simple things over and over again if they're there. And I think he's going to outcoach a lot of people. And so between that, having a veteran quarterback who's a gritty guy in Castellanos, he's got a stable of running backs. He's got a kid from Rock Hill, Richard, who's they got depth there. So I'm not going to sit here and say they win the conference or that they're even in Charlotte, but I mean, man, they look like a team that's going to give everybody fits when they see them.
Kyle, I know this is a college show, but I just want to get your take real quick. Carolina Panthers, 5.5 wins, over under.
Well, I went 7-10. That's my official season prediction. I went 7-10.
They're sneaky. I think they're sneaky.
That seems lofty, Kyle. That seems pretty lofty, man.
No, they're still missing the playoffs. I mean, I guess what does it matter at the end of the day? But, it might – listen, I think they could win 7. I think they could win 3. I don't know, because the depth concerns you on this team. I do think their offense – I was there. I was in the end zone for joint practice against the Jets. I watched them for a good while that day. They got talent on the starting 11 on offense. That is a group that should be able to be somewhat productive at the very least. Defensively, they are razor thin on depth. I mean, I talked to Dave Canales yesterday, and I asked him, I was like, hey, you just cut K'Lavon Chason yesterday. You got Jadeveon Clowney, DJ Johnson, Eku Leota, and Jamie Sheriff, a guy you just picked up off of waivers who was driving a beer truck 2 months ago. Yeah. I was like, how comfortable are you with that? And he was like, I'm not comfortable with that. I mean, he was point blank honest. Like, I'm not comfortable. Like, we got to try to find something. So I think the offense should be better. And I think the defense will be competitive. I mean, Ejiro Evero is a hell of a coach. I think they're going to be great some weeks, but some weeks they might have 35 hung on them. It's going to be a little bit up and down. But everybody's watching for the offense this year. If they go 5-12, 6-11, but they lose a couple of shootouts and Bryce throws for 3,500 yards and 25 touchdowns, I think people will pretty much be okay with that.
I'm gonna before we let you go, I will say this. Shout out to BC. They are on my list of teams I'm rooting for, along with the Detroit Lions and along with West Virginia, because they all three have guys that I played football with in college. Will Lawing, the offensive coordinator, we were in the same DB room. Ben Johnson and I picked Ben Johnson off in the spring game, by the way. The offensive coordinator for the Lions, and Chad Scott, the man that helped us beat Miami in 2004. So that's all. I'm just saying. I gotta throw that out there so folks know. Like, I got some bona fides.
It's Felder's World. We're all just living in it. Kyle Bailey from WFNZ does a great job in the afternoons. You can check him out on Twitter at Kyle Bailey Club. Kyle, have a good show today. Enjoy the weekend. Thank you for making the time for us.
Thank you, gentlemen.
There you go. That's our man. Kyle Bailey does a great job with WFNZ. And if you heard some bird songs in the background, it's because Kyle was outside. Yeah,
I'm jealous, dude. He's just hanging because the weather is perfect for being outside.
Well, the weather outside is weather. Dun, 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 dun. That's from Forgetting Sarah Marshall. You're welcome.
Yes. But no, I mean, I could.
Great movie.
Very.
You think I could take my setup outside?
No, I don't know if I trust your internet. You got a mesh network out at the Felder residence?
Bro, I got a 5G.
Why don't you try it? Not now, but maybe next week we can get you outside. How about?
I've got 5G. I'll test it out over the course of the week, and maybe I do an outside show. We'll see what the weather looks like. But I've got a 5G Verizon 5G network.
That would be great.
That I can just sit underneath my computer and just go.
I'm rooting for you, buddy. Like, I would love that. I think you would look great outside in the sun with the birds and the deer and everything else.
And we shoot in the morning. The sun would be right in my face, so I'd get good lighting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let it ride, big guy. Let it ride.
There we go.
Are we got one or two left on the Felder Five? What do we
We
got?
got one left.
Hit me with it.
Quinn Ewers needs to ball out, not edge out. Let's ride.
When you say edge out, you
Like,
mean edge out
squeak.
whatever Michigan's bringing? Okay.
Yeah, like he can't. I don't want him to squeak out a win. If this is the team that we think they are, if this is a team that we think can challenge Georgia, I need to see him go to Michigan, a team that does have a solid defense, a team that is going to try to grind you into the ground. I want to see him ball out. That's not a crazy thought.
No, I don't think it's a crazy
I
thought.
want to see him ball out. I want to see him give them the business, if you will.
You know, that's an interesting game. Obviously, it's the Fox Big Noon kickoff. Game day is
Sure.
going to be there. I mean, it's the epicenter of the college football world. It's two of the top 4 winningest college football programs of all time. They've only played each other once, and that was in the 05 Rose Bowl. So it's a helmet game, the uniforms, the tradition,
Sure.
all that stuff. Like, it's cool.
Yeah.
Show of hands. Does anybody think this game's going to be competitive? I don't.
I do.
Talk me into it. Why?
I think Sark is going to be super conservative. That's why I wrote this. This is why I wrote it in the Felder Five. I think Sark's going to be conservative. Uh-oh.
What?
Mine says recording error.
Oh man.
We're fine, buddy. Just we're cooking. You're okay.
It just said a red light came on.
You're fine. I promise.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
All
don't
right.
feel good about it.
So
Stay in the
Sark's
studio until your recordings are uploaded. Okay, we're good. We're good.
So
We're
so
good.
Sark, you think Sark is going to be conservative with the play calling?
I think he's going to play conservative football. I don't think he's going to let his nuts hang out.
Yeah, they're not at home against Colorado State.
I
Like I
understand.
do, that's the thing for me. Like I think about this all the time. Like I think that scared is not the right word. I think worried. I think concerned. I think there's a lack of confidence. Like what he should do is go up there with the intent of blowing this team out. Knowing they can't run with you in terms of tempo, speed, all that stuff. I'll put it this way. Remember Florida, Michigan season opener? What
That was
was that?
a while ago.
8
but
years ago,
yes.
maybe?
Yes, I remember.
But they went out, Florida went out and was like, let's go get these guys. They have no idea what's about to happen to them.
Didn't Sark do this last year at Alabama? Like, I don't remember that being a conservative game against the Tide.
What was the score?
That's a good point. Yeah. I don't remember, but
I
it
mean,
was
they
up and
won by
down.
double digits. I mean, it wasn't exactly like, hey, let's just pound it into the line and hope this works out.
Hang on.
They beat Alabama last year 34-24.
Yeah.
34. Okay, yeah. So hopefully, yeah, maybe he's learned his lesson from his time in Alabama.
Because, to your point maybe about Sark and the type of game he may or may not call with Texas, we saw what Michigan's trotting out there on offense
Yeah.
last week against Fresno.
If Fresno State, if they still had like Jake Hayner and who's the running back, if they still had those dudes, that game looks a lot different. And
Still
they
worried.
still had Tedford.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, that game was 16-10. Michigan scores a touchdown to get 23, and then Fresno throws the pick six.
Yeah, that's a different football game.
That game was gross last week.
It was like super tight.
And I like Colston Loveland. I've liked him for a while. He's the tight end. He's very good.
Yeah, I know who he is.
Donovan
he's good.
Edwards, where did he go? That
I
guy had
don't
like
know.
11 carries for 27 yards.
I don't know because I thought he was their most explosive back.
I did
last year.
too. Yes,
Like
I
even
did
with
too.
Corum being there, I thought he was their most explosive back.
Yeah, it's concerning. And are we surprised by this? No. I mean, J.J. McCarthy was a first-round quarterback who elevated Michigan's offense because he was a dual threat guy, and
Elevated their
when
offense.
asked to pass, look, I got to give Michigan their flowers. They're coming off a 15-0 national championship. Like,
That's fantastic.
I understand, yeah, but look, the offense.
Where would we put Michigan, that Michigan national championship team?
Look, you want
In
to
the
do this?
pantheon.
Well, the defense was pretty. I think their numbers were pretty historic, right?
Sure, and look who they played.
Look,
I don't know if historic is the word.
If
but I mean,
Georgia,
they were,
if Georgia was in the playoff last year, we'd be talking about a 3-time reigning national championship program.
All right, they messed
did
that up.
I understand, sure, but you asked, so I like.
Are they on the same scale as the Nakobe Dean teams?
No.
Okay.
I don't think so, but they are still the reigning. Like, they still did what they did last
but
year.
Here's the thing. Here's what I'm going to say. Michigan fans don't even think that they're going to win a back-to-back national championship.
Yeah, look, I don't know how you can feel good about things with this Davis Warren guy. Like, I just it was very mid.
Davis Warren.
offense is very suspect.
That's the
I
guy's
do
name,
wonder
right?
if
The quarterback,
Yeah.
former walk-on.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He beat Alex Orji for the spot, and like
Well, I thought they were playing both those guys.
Orji took 3 snaps last week.
Yeah, he didn't play very much.
He did.
No,
Well-
we have a situation here.
Yeah.
So
I just wonder
if
the
Michigan
defense is
can't
good
run
enough to keep them around.
if they can't run the football, Texas is no slouch defensively. I think it's going to be. I think it could be a laugher, man. I really do.
That's the whole point of what I wrote. I want it to be a laugher. I want him to ball out. I don't want him to edge out. I want him to ball out. I want him to go in there and just freaking be a monster. Go crazy. Let this man cook. Get out of his kitchen and let him cook.
They cooked against Colorado State, and I know you're going to be like, "Well, it was Colorado State," but
No,
I mean,
I'm not going to be like that.
everybody was getting in on the action. I have this note here. They had 10 different wide receivers catch passes in the first half.
That's awesome. Do
Like,
it against Michigan.
I agree.
I'm not crazy. Like, I want him. Like, people are gonna like. So many people said I'm a Texas hater. No, I'm a Texas skeptic. Those are two different things. And what I want to see is this guy go out there and just ball out, like truly, like go full, like balling out of control, like just go crazy, hit your spots, give your guys touchdowns, hit 10 receivers, go do everything. That's what I want.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'd love that.
That's why I wrote it in there.
But you're skeptical. You're skeptical that it's actually going to happen. Okay.
That they're going to let it happen. Colorado, Nebraska.
Yeah, talk to me about Colorado, Nebraska, because I've got takes on this game.
What do we even expect?
Big Red. Big.
Over. Points.
Over?
Think so. 59. It's up there. I think it's going to be some
59.
points.
And
Colorado's
Colorado's
going to throw the ball all over the place, and
Well,
actually Nebraska can keep up now.
They're going to throw it because they can't do anything else.
They
Tripp.
can't.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
yes.
fine. That's who they are. That's what they're going to do.
So that's 30 points per team.
Correct.
So we're looking at what are we looking at? Like a 35-28 game or like a 42-35
That works.
game?
Yeah, that's the implied score. Yeah, Nebraska's about a 7-8 point favorite. Yep.
I mean, one, Shadur has to finish the game for Colorado to have a chance to win.
You mean like physically stay upright and finish the game?
Yeah, not be broken in half.
It's a fair point.
Like, if I'm Nebraska, my game plan is finding ways to zone blitz him consistently. I want to bring zone dogs because those work twofold. Zone dogs, they work with in zone blitzes, as most people call them, but in football we actually call them zone dogs. Zone dogs allow you to bring pressure, confuse the offensive line, an offensive line that has absolutely no cohesion.
Correct.
You bring a zone dog, guy from depth, so you get to hit the quarterback, or sack the quarterback, but also you have someone that's sinking underneath to where he thinks his hot route is, which could lead to some interceptions. And so that's what I would do. And Nebraska is, from what I've obviously it's a very small sample size. They're a zone team, and that's what I do. I just don't. They can't run. Colorado can't run the football. Nebraska is dealing with still a young quarterback.
Yeah, but he looks very good.
He
Dylan
does
Raiola.
look good. Yeah, and Colorado has the best, but Nebraska's going to have to play against the best player in college football, in Travis Hunter. So all those things can be true all at the same time. I'm just curious to see what it looks like because I'm not sure what to expect.
Yeah, again, going back to what we said at the jump, it's okay to want to learn about both of these teams. Who did Nebraska play last week? UTEP?
Yes.
They handled their business. Colorado, they were Colorado was 5 yards away from losing at home to North Dakota State.
Bingo.
So this is the type of game that if Colorado doesn't win, they're not going to go to a bowl this year. Like, this schedule is brutal.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I looked at the schedule. I took some advice from Stephen Hartzell and started looking at schedules a little bit more.
Schedules matter, man. I've been trying to tell you that for 8 years.
Well, God, 8 years. Wow, man.
It's been a while. It has.
While. Yeah. But no, it's going to be rough for them. The other games, I know you got other games you want to talk about too, but I mean, we already talked about Grayson McCall and Concepcion. My wife's not here right now.
She works for a living. She works. She's out. She's teaching. It's a good thing.
Sure. The point here is she's not home, so I can really just talk shit about Michigan State. They look like straight ass, dude.
Who'd they beat last week? FAU?
FAU.
And it was close. Like, it was tight.
What was it, 16-10? Am I Tripp? What was it?
It's not
yeah,
good.
It was low scoring, and plus Maryland looked pretty.
That's
good.
What I was gonna say next. And Maryland looked like, yo, boy.
Are you gonna have to watch that? Like, does that get the big TV treatment?
She can watch it downstairs. I'm upstairs. I'm working.
How did the new setup treat you last week? You said you were gonna try something a little different.
Yeah,
it
was
your
good,
screens.
Man. I still had I had three screens. But the biggest difference was I was like, you know what? I'm punting on the PLUS games. I will watch the PLUS games on Sunday or on Monday.
Nice.
Because it's too much work to move the iPad. Like to cycle through the iPad or to cycle through tabs on the monitor, which is what this is right here. To cycle through tabs on the monitor is just like I can do side by side, handle that, but to try to cycle through tabs is too much work. And then I miss something back there where I'm trying to take notes. It's easier for me to just take notes on Sunday and Monday for the PLUS games than it is to, and like, obviously Peacock is going to be an exception, but it's easier for me. Like, I gotta watch this Boise State Oregon game, but that game it's kind of a one of a kind, right? It's only that one can just go straight to the monitor, and I'll watch something else on television, and then I'll have this. But I just am like, I can't, like, mentally cycling through, like, having 3 tabs of plus the ESPNU tab, plus on the iPad having 2 things open at one time is just, I'm like, let me focus my work in, dial in on this, the things I know I'm going to have to talk about, then I can go back and look for some things.
Tripp, are you quad box guy? Who's your provider at home? What are you? Are you still cable?
We're YouTube TV.
Yeah. So the quad box.
I like it. I like it
quad
a lot.
box is a game changer for sure.
Yeah.
My kids kind of pick the big game on the TV. You know, they have quote unquote teams they root for.
Like who?
Like who?
Well, last week it was Florida early. We watched JMU and Charlotte last week because my kids are JMU fans. That was cool. And then they just kind of lose interest and drift off to, other parts of the house. But the quad box stuff is awesome. And I'm telling you, man, like this, I'll just do it right now. I'm looking at games that kick off from 10 o'clock and beyond on Saturday night, okay? We've talked Boise, Oregon. That's 10 o'clock on Peacock.
Yes.
If you haven't watched Arizona, like this isn't a
Arizona's must-see TV.
like the Fafita to McMillan combo is
Unbelievable.
It's it's insane.
And that's, you know what? Because it's so late, that is a plus game that will get onto that's going to be into the side-by-side.
Yeah, I mean, Arizona it's must-see TV just to watch Fafita and McMillan throw and catch, okay?
Right.
So that's a 10 o'clock kick. 10 o'clock on Fox, Big Fox. Washington State hosts Texas Tech.
I can throw that. That's on the iPad.
Why is Texas Tech going to Washington State, you ask? There's a Mike Leach connection.
They've already signed a deal.
He's being, but, they're inducting Mike Leach posthumously into the Washington State Hall of Fame. It'll be an emotional scene. You will hear from me, or maybe Tripp if he beats me to it, from this game later on in our picks segment. Okay,
because it's a weird line, right?
It's a fishy line. Stinks to high heaven. That's a 10 o'clock kick on Fox. I'm not done. 10:30 on ESPN. Arizona State, Mississippi State.
That's
Roddy Jones on the call live from Tempe. Got to check in on Roddy. See how he's looking with the tie clip and the jacket game. Arizona State looked good last week. They beat Wyoming, blew them out. Kenny Dillingham, year 2. Mississippi State, Jeff Lebby. A lot of offense expected in this game. I'm interested. And then 11 o'clock, USC, Utah State.
Did you skip over Oregon State, San Diego State?
I did skip over that.
Okay.
But if you're into it, that's on 10:30 on CBS Sports Network. Little Mountain West Pac-2, two-pack. USC, short week. Utah State. Hey, USC, you guys are so great. Miller Moss, hey, Zachariah Branch, you guys are so great. Can you cover a big number at home against Utah State?
Right. Z Branch is a beast, though.
Yo, that guy's a monster.
That catch is amazing.
He is a cheat code. He is very, very good. And look, we said
and
this,
it's on
man.
Big Ten Network.
It's on Big Ten Network at 11 o'clock. That is so weird on so many levels.
They expanded their footprint so far.
And you know how this works because you've done the studio stuff before, Felder. There are a group of people inside a room in Chicago where the Big Ten Network is locaed that
Perry,
that have to stick around
Nicole Auerbach
for pre, half, and post game of an event that starts at 11 o'clock Eastern time. Welcome to the future.
Yep.
Hope you guys are drinking Celsius or, I don't know, whatever people drink these days. You're a Prime guy? That stuff's terrible, man. I can't do it.
I only do the Prime hydration. I don't do Prime energy.
Tastes like a cavity, man. It's just way too sweet.
The hydration was pretty good.
The hydration is good.
Other games that I would like to get Michael Felder's thoughts on here.
This is my G0.
Rapid fire games. You ready for this?
I'm ready.
In the top 25, we haven't talked Georgia Tech Syracuse. High noon on ACC Network.
Where's it at?
It's at the Dome.
Tech by 2.5. What do you like? Give us a pick.
I mean, I like Syracuse's defense, man.
Really? The defense that let Ohio's running back go for over 200 yards last week? That defense? Because you know what Georgia Tech likes to do.
No, you know what? I was thinking about Illinois. That's me. That's
Illinois. Illinois, Kansas is on my list. Don't worry.
I was thinking about Illinois. Listen. Navy and orange. I was thinking about Illinois. I was like, that Navy and orange defense looked good, but it was not Syracuse. You're correct.
Trivia time. Georgia Tech is ranked in the AP poll this week. It's the first time since when that Georgia Tech's been ranked in football. Just throw a year out there. Just take a guess.
Oh, no.
2011.
Oh, you guys are meaner than I thought. 2016. Sorry, 2015. 2015. It's been a while. Okay. Kansas State at Tulane. We putting the Wildcats on upset alert in New Orleans Saturday. Yes or no?
No.
Okay. All right. Baylor, Utah, 3:30. Big Fox. Does that do anything for you?
Utah, pause on them.
I agree. Heavy pause.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk Kansas, Illinois. You like Illinois' defense.
Yes.
Kansas has to go on the road to play a night game in Champaign. You putting them on upset alert?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't love it, but yeah. You got it. They got look. I'm not calling it a hostile environment, but I am saying it is a game in a Big Ten stadium where you have to go on the road to go play this game. And I want, like, upset alert's not even right. I think that Kansas needs to prove that they can win a big game like this on the road. And people are going to say it's not that big of a game. They're just playing Illinois. But the reality of it is, for every team that's not, Alabama, Georgia, Michigan, Ohio State, Texas, whatever, games like this are big. Like, we just talked to Kyle Bailey about it, right? That UNC Minnesota game, most people are like, what's the big deal? They're just playing Minnesota. And it's like, yeah, but that's not a game they usually play. It's hard to win that game. Same thing with Miami going to play Florida, obviously. And I know that's a different thing because it's a bit of a rivalry, but like, that's a hard game to win. And so if they win this game, I think they need to win this game to put some faith in them for me, or to increase, because I think they're good, but increase the faith.
Our boy Phil Steele likes Illinois to pull the upset in this game as well.
I got my blue and oranges mixed up, blue and orange, but yeah, Illinois, that's a salty football team, dude.
Yeah, they know what they are. That's a team with identity. Let's go off the board. I got a couple of unranked games.
Oh no.
South Carolina at Kentucky, 3:30 kick. Did you see what happened with Kentucky last week?
No, I did not. I saw what happened with South Carolina.
Yes, well, South Carolina edged Old Dominion at home, barely. Kentucky was playing in a game that was postponed because of weather. They ended up calling it in the third quarter. It was 31-0. Kentucky was winning. They just canceled the rest of the game. Like, they were like, we're done here.
Yeah.
So Kentucky only played 2.5 quarters of football last week. They looked good. South Carolina did not. And
they looked not good at all.
People are already, Kyle Bailey kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, like, people are concerned about what's happening down there. So do we give them a shot to hang around in Lexington against the Cats? What do we think?
They're going to lose.
This may or may not make my pick segment a little bit later. We'll see what Tripp does. It's like 8.5, man. It's outside of a touchdown. Can I interest either one of you in an ACC-SEC matchup when the Cal Bears visit the Plains to take on Auburn at 3:30?
I want to, and this is one of the games that I have circled. I want to pick Cal. I do. I don't know if I will, but I want to. Don't know if I will, but I want to. But
Justin Wilcox, dangerous as an underdog.
He is.
Yeah, I like the exact opposite, but Phil kind of pumped the brakes on that yesterday. He likes Cal also.
He does. He's very high on Cal. It's a 2-touchdown point spread, but Cal almost beat him last year in Berkeley. Now they got to return the trip and go to Jordan-Hare.
Yep.
Sneaky good game. UTSA at Texas State. We don't need to spend a ton of time on it, but these are playoff elimination games. And you could say, well, that's an absurd take. You should probably never do a sports podcast again. But somebody from the Sun Belt or the American or the Mountain West,
MAC,
unlikely, but maybe a Liberty from Conference USA, one of those 4 conferences is going to generate the 12 seed in the CFP.
Right.
And if you're UTSA or Texas State, you need to run the table. And this is a coin flip game. It's a fun in-state rivalry. 2 good programs. So I'm interested.
Because one of them's got to win this, and then they've got to deal with, who is it, North Texas?
Yeah, you got North Texas. I mean, Texas State's in the Sun Belt, so you've got, App or JMU. I mean, there's teams like it's Louisiana, right? Like there's squads. Just keep an eye on it.
Obviously, we already talked about App State, and you mentioned Liberty. Like, this is like, I guess this is the crazy thing, and I don't think people realize this. What the big leagues have, the big conferences, specifically the Big Ten and the SEC, and then you throw in the Big 12 and the ACC, they're basically making all these other leagues fight for crumbs. Like, that's what they're doing. And so they're scrapping with each other just to come up even. It's really like, it's not, I don't know. And then Tripp, I don't know if we talked about this on this show before, but Notre Dame, they're going to do everything they can to make sure Notre Dame doesn't get into the playoff.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong here. Even if Notre Dame
is number 1 in the country, they can only be 5.
Bingo. So like Notre Dame could be sitting there at 12-0. They don't get the buys that the top 4 power conference champs. Like if you have a 9-3 Big 12 team, they're getting the bye. Notre Dame's going to have to play somebody in the first round.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So if you're Notre Dame, I mean, let's see how it plays out, but maybe you pick up the phone. Maybe you call, the Big Ten and say, hey, we're ready. I don't know. Just a thought. You're not calling the ACC. That ship has sailed.
Why not?
Because the ACC is not going to be around in 10 years. Not to the extent that it is right now.
Conference at that point, but right now, you go to a conference you can win.
Yeah, that's what I'd say. They can win that league. Also, that money would bump up for that league if they joined it. And then we could stop all the pissing and moaning from Florida State and Clemson and UNC.
That would be a very selfless act by Notre Dame. I don't know if they have that in them.
I don't think it would be. It's selfish. Join a league that has Michigan, Ohio State, Oregon, Washington, and Penn State, where we will not win. Or join a league that just has that doesn't have anybody at this point.
Unless the numbers change.
And we're already involved in that league.
Unless the numbers change financially in terms of the payouts. It doesn't make financial sense for Notre Dame to do that.
That's the whole point. It would make financial sense.
You would have Notre Dame that got a lion's share of revenue though, because they're not going to get the same number that Wake Forest is getting. No chance.
Sure.
So I'm just saying there would be a lot of
there's so many moving pieces because obviously you have this ESPN part, then you have the NBC part, the Peacock, all that stuff. But yeah, the number would go up. That's the reason why they don't join a conference. So their number is so good that they don't need to.
Notre Dame's going to save the ACC. Okay, I mean let's see.
No, they're going to save themselves. They're going to save themselves.
Let's a bridge.
Let's check on that.
Big Ten.
Let's check on that at the end of the year. And the Cape Hatteras Lighthouse in a couple decades, okay?
Yeah,
let's check on both of them.
All right, what do we got?
Speaking of the ACC. Can I interest you in Virginia Wake Forest, 7 o'clock on the Deuce?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I'll watch it, but no.
Confession time. I will be going to, what's it called now? It's not BB&T Field.
Truist?
No, it's not Truist either. All these damn banks that keep merging. It is called it is Truist Field. I thought it was a Legacy Field.
A Legacy Federal Credit Union Stadium.
Yeah, that's where I will. Confession time. I will be there next Saturday when the Ole Miss Rebels, gosh almighty, will be in town to put 85 points on Wake Forest's face.
They got to fix that logo, too. The logo doesn't read right.
What
those
logo?
People aren't getting their money's worth. A Legacy.
Okay. Well,
I'm going to look at this.
I don't feel sorry for any banking institution,
right.
Tripp. You want to know why? Because when Stephen Hartzell was between the ages of 18 and 28, they made a fortune off of me on overdraft fees. So I don't
absolutely.
I do not feel sorry for any banking institution ever. Oh, we fat-fingered your direct deposit, and now you've got $50,000 in your bank account. We need that money back. No, you're not getting that money back. You can go to hell.
Money.
Yeah, it's in my account. I see it. It's mine.
I think they just take it back.
Not if you take it all back before that. Bro, I'd be at the ATM, man. Just keep inserting the card. Just give it all to me. Cash. So you're not interested. You're not interested in UVA at Wake Saturday night.
I will watch it. I just don't. Neither one of them are going to be players.
I understand. That's why wins are at a premium. That's why I want to watch it.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna. I said I'm gonna watch it. For me, the big thing for me is watching them. I just know that neither one of them have the horses to be a player. Now, when we get into October, and we know that one of these teams has got 4 wins or they've got 3 wins with a close loss, and then all of a sudden, what are we looking at? We're looking at a team that might upset, whether it's Clemson or if NC State wins this weekend, then I'll be more interested. I'm gonna watch him. I'm gonna look for signs. But you see what I'm saying?
I'm picking up what you're throwing down, big dog.
Yeah, like that's when it gets more interesting for me. For right now, this is two teams that are Florida State's 0-2, so I can't say that.
Are they the worst teams in the ACC?
That's what I was gonna.
That's what you want to ask. I think they're in the running. I think they're definitely in the running. Although we're gonna get a firsthand look at Duke. They get the stage all to themselves tonight.
Yeah.
On the banks of Lake Michigan. What's the UV index tonight, Tripp? Hit me with it.
There's no UV index at night.
Tripp gave the UV index for a game in a dome last year. Okay,
I've already given you.
That's the point.
I've given you the wind tonight.
On one of the all-time
mile-an-hour gusts.
Is that true?
Yes.
Okay.
That stadium is like a 7-iron, probably like a 5-wood for you away from Lake Michigan. It's going to be windy.
Don't worry about
my golf. It's going to be super windy coming off the lake.
I think the under's a good pick tonight.
Don't worry about my golf game, Tripp. You worry about yours. Okay.
Okay.
You worry about yours.
I'm
by the way,
worried about your ability to carry a golf bag.
I still need to caddy for you, Tripp. Look, it's fall. The weather has shifted. Temperatures are cooler. You tell me when and where, and I'll be there. I will be dressed to impress, and I will carry your bag. So,
okay,
I'm out. I'm not available next Wednesday, but you tell me when and where, and I'll make it happen. Okay?
Okay.
The onus is on you. Like, I can't just show up to your club, your private club, and start. Is it? Private. Can I book a tea time online as a non-member?
I think so.
No, I cannot. Nice try. So you let me know when I need to be there, and I'll be there. You know what? Enough of the dilly-dally. Let's make some picks.
That's my dog. Take that. That's my dog.
All right, let me pull this.
That's my dog. That's my dog. That's my dog. And anybody got to say anything, you let me know. That's my dog.
Only one of us successfully picked a week 1 That's My Dog winner, and that would be one Michael Felder. You picked Notre Dame at Texas A&M. Again, for the uninitiated, this is not about covering spreads. This is about winning games outright as an underdog. Felder delivered with Notre Dame. So, Michael, you get to go first here in week 2 with your That's My Dog selection.
So I have 3 games circled. All right. So I have 3 games. Hang on. I gotta look at the number for this one. There it is. All right. So I've got ECU, Old Dominion.
They are favored against the Monarchs, are they not? Or no?
No,
I think Old Dominion might be the favorite.
Old Dominion is the favorite. It's at Old Dominion.
Okay.
Ohio, South Alabama, and Texas Tech, Washington State.
Yeah, let me double check this ECU line. Man.
Yeah,
Just make sure
ECU might be favored now.
No, they're not.
I see Old Dominion as a 1.5 point favorite.
What time is that game?
That's a 6 o'clock kick in Norfolk.
Yeah, what? I'm not. What do you think, guys? Think I'm cheating?
It's happened before.
Yeah,
I've cheated before.
I didn't say you. I just said that people have cheated in this game. Tripp tries to invent lines all the time. Are you kidding me?
I've never invented a line. I've got the lines right here in front of me.
I do too.
Come over and look.
Okay, man. Look, let's just get through the show, okay?
Well, then stop throwing out accusations.
By the way, happy belated birthday to Tripp.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, there we go.
Last week on the show,
no mention of it.
Last week on the show, Tripp turned 49 years old, and he never
That's
even
a lie.
He never even mentioned it. And being the shitty boss that I am, I didn't acknowledge it. So happy belated birthday. Are we doing lunch today, Tripp?
Yeah, I think we should.
It's your call, because I haven't seen you since Tuesday. I asked you where you wanted to go eat, and you were like, yeah, man, I'll get back to you. Today's Friday. Still haven't heard from you. So, you let me know what you want to do about that when we hop offline. Felder, That's My Dog. Where are you going? Week 2. What's your pick?
You know what?
Go with your gut, man.
Shout out to my dad. Let's go ECU.
Yay. Paint it purple.
Let's go.
ECU plus
was
one
a favorite yesterday, by the way.
at OD. Well, I mean, maybe
Well,
Felder got in here and
yesterday
made
was
the line
not
move.
today.
Just saying, I've got the same thing going on, but they were a favorite yesterday.
That's not today.
Tripp,
Correct.
I
I'm fine with the pick.
I will go first here because I want to clear the stage for you in the 3-for-all. Give me Arkansas plus 7.5 to win
like that.
outright in Stillwater over Oklahoma State University. Give me the Razorbacks. And if they do win, I will call the Hogs on the show next week.
There we go. You and Bobby Petrino.
Good pick.
Correct.
I like
Except I won't be wearing a neck brace when I do it. So, Tripp, the floor is yours.
Southern. I got Georgia Southern, and this is also a game where they were favored yesterday. Today I'm getting a point. So I just want to make sure you're
going Georgia Southern at Nevada.
at Nevada.
Okay. It's yours. Okay, so quick recap on the 3-for-all. Tripp went 3-0 last week. Georgia covered. Nebraska UTEP under 49.
Lock.
Barely.
Lock.
And Boston College plus 17. So no
Lock.
sweat for Tripp. I gave you Oklahoma minus a big number against Temple, Alabama, Roll Tide, and Hawaii, who almost beat UCLA outright. So, again, to recap, Tripp and I combined went 6-0 last week. That's
We're
pretty
good at
nice.
This is what we do.
So, Tripp, I'm going to get out of your way. Your week 2 3-for-all.
You
Hit
want
us.
all three?
Yes, I want all three.
I honestly think the fair way to do this, and I'm being totally serious, if nobody puts a game on the dock, have 5 games listed, rank them. We rotate who goes first each week. I get a pick, you get a pick, I get a pick, you get a pick, and I think that's fair. There's nothing, I don't know why you're putting your head down. That is a completely logical, fair way to do it. Because I jump on the dock last night, Thursday, you've already got 2 picks, and one of the picks I happen to like.
Again,
I'm just saying, why is this such a big deal? It's a fair way to do it. That's completely simple. It
I
also
just
builds
want
a little
3 selections, Tripp. That's all I'm asking you for, is to pick 3 games.
It'd be better for the show too. My first pick, top play on the board. Have you seen this Tennessee line?
I have.
Do you know what it's up to now?
It's climbing. It's been at like 7.5.
It's
What is
10.
it at this morning? Jeez.
It's 10. And the Vols are still my top play on the board.
Top play, huh?
That's my top play.
Vols minus 10.
I'm still riding with a 10.
Okay. It's yours.
All
What
right,
else
why
you got?
don't you go?
Okay, fine. Give me Arkansas, Oklahoma State over 62.5. This is the one of the early games. I think there's going to be a lot of offense from both teams. Love a good noon over just to keep things, moving along at the start of the day. So if it's okay with you, Tripp,
Sounds like an under.
Arkansas, Oklahoma State over 62.5.
I think that's your first loss of the year. Is
Back
that your
to
top
you,
play?
buddy. Back to you.
Give me Northern Illinois. Plus 27.5. Big letdown spot for Notre Dame.
Okay, Northern Illinois plus 27.5 at the Golden Domers. Let me just double check this line, man. Again, I want to make sure that we're being honest and upfront with the people and we're not just coming up with anything fishy. Okay, 27.5. It's yours. Is it back to me?
You're up.
All right. Shout out
This
to
is
our man
good.
Phil Steele, who gave me a little love on his
I'm seeing 28.
Give me 28.
We don't do. Oh, man.
I'm just saying what I see.
Let me
Fine.
check here.
Fine. 28. It doesn't matter. It's fine. It's 28.
It's not
It's yours.
28.5. All right.
Give me the over, if it's all right with you, Tripp, in the Ohio South Alabama game. Okay, this is an off the board selection if there ever was
Wasn't
one.
on my list. Where'd you get that pick from?
56-5.
56.5. This game is it's at South Alabama. Both of these teams can move it. We saw what Ohio did against Syracuse last week.
Yes.
Big Gio Lopez fan. Look him up, Tripp. He's a quarterback for South
Did you
Al.
hire somebody to make these picks for you?
No, I did
beat
not.
Me that bad?
But I like Ohio, South Alabama over 56 and a hook. That's a 6 o'clock Eastern kick in that one. Back to you, Tripp.
I don't know why you got to do it with that tone. This is the way it should be done. This is working. I'll take.
We both went 3-0 last week, picking like the way that I've always done it, and now you want to mess that up somehow by this back and forth.
Just
like
saying,
we're picking teams on the playground.
It's like it's.
I don't care about fair. I want to win. I want to deliver picks to people, but you want to go back and forth like we're playing seesaw. So go ahead, give us your third pick, man.
It's unrealistic for you to think you're going to win this. You're going against the doctor. Give me Arizona State minus 5.5. That's the number I've got.
Well, I'm going to double check that number.
Check it.
Just to make sure. Arizona State minus 5.5. This is the late game against Mississippi State. This is the Roddy Jones special. Are you going to watch this game?
Let's just hope they play it quick so our guy can get back to his birthday party.
Whose birthday party?
It wasn't his kid's birthday party?
Oh,
Did you
Roddy's
forget about
birthday
that?
party.
Oh,
Yes.
not good with the
No.
birthday
I remember
stuff.
that. I do remember that. Oh, boy. Getting a lot of text messages from wifey.
I just
right.
got one, too.
I don't know. It's just like, look.
Not
I
from
know,
your wife, from my wife.
Thank you for clarifying. They miss us, man. Isn't that crazy? It's like
No, my kid's coming home right now.
Oh, no. Sick kid?
I don't know. She said, I'll fill you in when I get home.
Yikes.
Okay.
The face that you just made was perfect, and that's exactly how
I'm sorry. I'm not. No, I don't. That's awful. I'm sorry. I hope she is okay. I hope everybody's all right. Let's wrap this up. Washington State minus 2.5. This line flipped earlier in the week. Texas Tech opened as the favorite. A lot of money coming in on the Cougs, and rightfully so. I will ride with Wazoo at home against a Texas Tech team that almost lost to, I believe, UT Arlington last week. Abilene Christian, whatever, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Texas Tech, concerning. Now you got to go to the PLUS. Good luck. Give me the Cougs. So to recap, Tripp likes Tennessee, Northern Illinois, and Arizona State. I like the over in Arkansas, Oklahoma State, the over in Ohio, South Al, and late night Cougs minus 2.5.
There we go.
Folks, we did a show. Felder's on emergency dad duty. I've got to deal with whatever's going on my phone, and Tripp has to plan a birthday lunch. So thank you for listening. Thanks to Kyle Bailey for joining us from WFNZ. For Felder, for Tripp, I'm Steven. Enjoy the games, and we'll talk to y'all next week.